All right. Mental illness is something we whisper about, hoping the neighbors don't hear. We skirt around the issue at family gatherings when we're asked why Jenny is still living at home, why Sam refused to leave his room, and why Joe keeps ending up on the news, says Cantrell, a contributor of the article, Mental Illness is Prevalent in America. Hello everyone, my name is Rachel, and we'll be discussing the rising issue of mental illness in America. Mental illness, whether we want to admit it or not, affects each one of us personally or through a loved one or friend. Mental health and mental illnesses are now a common household term and in everyday conversations. If we do not educate ourselves, we too can become prey to the stigmas of what they bring. Not only have I done a lot of research in the past year about mental illness, I know people that I love and care about, that struggle with their mental health as well as mental illnesses. I know just how hard it can be on family and friends who deal with it on a daily basis. Today I will be discussing a part of mental illness that I think recently has become one of the biggest sources of where mental health issues begin. How the stigma of mental health illnesses must be overcome to start seeing a change, and a well-known treatment that could help these individuals overcome their obstacles. So to start off, I'd like to talk about how the stigma of mental illnesses need to be overcome if we hope to see change in the future. Kay Redfield Jameson, author of the article, The Stigma of Mental Illness Must Be Overcome, states that unless we are willing to talk about how to deal with mental illness among professionals, the problem is going to remain undiscussed, creating more fear and more stigmatization. Mental illness can become scary if we don't get those struggling with these issues the help they need. There are many uncertainties in regards to mental illnesses that need to be talked about rather than swept under the rug. Communication is key in many aspects of life, and that is true of helping those who can't help themselves. And next, let's talk about how childhood trauma can lead to mental health issues and eventually, if not treated properly or at all, mental illnesses. Victor Carrion, author of Childhood Trauma Can Lead to Mental Illness, states that in communities where there is violence, where children are exposed to events such as shootings in the neighborhoods, kids experience a constant environmental threat. Contrary to some people's beliefs, these children don't get used to trauma. These events remain stressful and impact children's physiology. Many children are exposed to trauma in their early childhood years that contribute to their PTSD, also known as post-traumatic stress disorder, which is more than likely diagnosed as ADHD, or also known as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. This happens because pediatricians aren't told to look for signs of PTSD. ADHD has similar symptoms to PTSD, but the treatments couldn't be more different from each other. The treatment for ADHD is something to suppress those issues and feelings through medication, where on the other hand, the treatment for PTSD is something known as psychotherapy or something similar. Psychotherapy is a sort of therapy to help those victims talk about those traumatic experiences to help them face those problems and deal with them head on so they can ultimately move on with their life. Which brings me to my last point, which is a treatment that can help these kids with mental health issues. This treatment is psychotherapy. Rachel Prunchno, author of the article, Psychotherapy May Be an Effective Treatment for Severe Mental Illness, states that drugs have serious side effects and at least 50% of patients either refuse or fail to take them. This is not true of CBT. This statistic shows that drugs aren't working well with those who are mentally ill, and that CBT, or psychotherapy, can be a respectable substitute for helping those with mental illnesses.